those of you watching, I'm Megan. This is Matt. We're the founders of KidStrong. We're trying to do 2 chats a week with Ask the Expert. One of your all's posts that you wanted to talk about was strong-willed children, and there was like 8 likes after somebody posted strong-willed children, and everyone was like, yeah, let's talk about that. So our expert today is Patty Eubank. Hello, Patty.
Hi.
Hey, Patty.
And she is a preschool and kindergarten director, 19 years now. Is that right? 19,
Yes,
20?
there.
Yeah. She's a mom of 3 and a former middle school teacher. That's all right, correct?
Yeah. You're echoing,
Yes,
so it's
okay.
hard for me. I'm like delayed sound.
Oh. Yeah, no worries. Are you, is it coming through your earphones? Try that. Is that better?
No, it's still like it's a delay.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a chance to talk here in a second.
Okay.
So one of the things, I've known Patty for a couple years. One of the things that I really like about the way she runs her preschool is she's a true believer in social emotional skills before academics. She says the academics will come, but we need to get our kids going on the social and emotional skills right away. She has clearly seen thousands and thousands and thousands of kids from being a preschool director for 19 years.
Well, she's seen it play out too over like a kid entering a program probably always through college.
Yeah, and her kids are in college as well. So she has seen more than enough. So when it comes to strong-willed kids, a lot of people think, they're like bad kids, okay? I personally think we have 3. Every single one of our kids is strong-willed. I don't know how it happened. Maybe because the parents they have, I don't know. But me and Matt live it every single day. It can be a struggle at times. And I think there's just things that you have to do as parents. You have to learn how your child learns and how they react to things in order to try to, help them become a productive citizen of life. So, Patty, let's hit on strong-willed children and go into some of the characteristics of a strong-willed children and what we do and do not want to do as parents and teachers and coaches.
I think with strong-willed kids, the first thing is we have to be consistent with our discipline, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and if you give in one time, they're going to jump on that, and they're going to wear you out because they know they've done it in the past. And so I got to take that out. I'm sorry, it's killing me.
Okay.
Sorry. All right. Be consistent. That's the main thing. You have to kind of look. If you got 3 kids, you have to discipline all 3 kids a little differently.
Hang on. You got to put them in. Or just the mic. Put the mic in.
Okay. Let me turn these off. Sorry.
Okay.
A lot of cords.
Somebody gave you a heart.
Okay, is that better?
We got a heart on it.
Do what?
There you go. Way better.
Okay. You have to be consistent, and it's exhausting, like staying consistent and trying to be on top of it, but you also have to pick your battles, because you get worn out, they're going to get worn out, so that's important too. But you have to look at each kid and discipline them all differently, because, my 3 kids and your 3 kids, no matter what, they're all in the same family, but you have to do, everyone is very different, even if they have some similarities. So that's important too.
So when parents get frustrated and they say, kids don't care about anything. They just don't care. There's nothing that they, you know, they actually had a mom say, you know, they could give to, you know what. So what would you tell those parents when they're just, you know, so frustrated, um, and they don't know what to do?
That's again, I would go back to pick your battles. What really is, what are your hard no's, and what are the things I can go, I can let that go. I can look back at my 3 and go, with my oldest, there was a lot of things I probably could have let go, but I was, you know, younger. I had a lot more energy, and I was just as determined as she was that she was going to do the things that I wanted her to do. And looking at her personality, she needed that. With my youngest, that's also very strong-willed, I probably let too much stuff go just because I was older and I was busy with the other kids. So I think you got to kind of get it somewhere in the middle and know that, you know what, they're going to end up being okay. Those kids are the ones that end up being your natural leaders. You want them to have to be strong-willed in some sense because you want them to be able to, when they're older, to stand up to a group or to stand up to those kids, and you know, when they're maybe trying to be manipulated by a group or they asked to do something, you know, that peer pressure, things they know they shouldn't do, they're going to have the strength and the determination to go, no, that's not what I need to do, or I know I shouldn't do that, and they will be able to do that. So you got to
I
kind
think
of,
that's
you
one.
got to work with that and grow that personality trait, but also have them understand that there are things that you're going to be told no to, and it's just a no. You're not going to negotiate everything. Not everything in life is negotiable, and there are rules.
Right.
So, because I think sometimes we
Yeah, I
over
think that's one of
negotiate.
the things we. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things we deal with, probably with Ella especially, and maybe because she's a little older, but she's very strong-willed and very, very focused, and it's some of it's rebellious, but more it's very kind of strategic rebellion where she's rebelling because she's focused on some goal or she's focused on some outcome. And you know, for us, it's just I think one of the things that really helped us when we talked to you is you know we struggle with that. Like, what's the balance? And you just made us feel a lot better because you don't want to discipline that
No.
out of them. You know, there's you don't want them breaking the law, but you also don't want them uh,
Don't want to
go,
hinder that.
them to be sheepish
Right.
either. So, you know, one of the things I think we always struggle with is like, what's the balance? Because we do want her to be a natural leader. We don't want our kids to be leaders. We also don't want them being wild and feral, which sometimes it feels like they
Yeah.
are.
They definitely
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and it is hard. It's hard to find the balance of what's best. But that again is looking at the kids, and I think sometimes now parents struggle with, you know, which I didn't have to deal with as much because my kids are so much older. The judgment when you are disciplining them in the stores or wherever. You know, we're not supposed to hurt their feelings. Guess what? You can hurt their feelings. They need to know that there are things you can't do. There are limits that you can push an adult to. There are limits that you can push people to. Because if you don't teach them that, the world is going to teach them that eventually, and it's going to be a lot harder when they're older to figure those things out. You know, don't be afraid to leave the grocery cart full of groceries in the store because they're throwing a fit and you need to leave. Just leave it and go. I mean, we've all done that before. Don't give in to all of those things because you're concerned about what that looks like to people around you. Because I remember that. I remember getting those stares in the grocery store, and that stuff's hard, you know, but it's just, you've just got to try to put yourself out of that. I've left one standing in the, you know, parking lot of Sam's for a moment, and when she refused to get in the car, and we drove away, not far, we just drove right there, and she never did that to me again. She got herself in the car
Right.
next time. I mean, so you have to do what you have to prove that. But uh,
Another thing that I think helps, if if any of your all's kids are like Ella, she she's one of those kids that she wants to like learn on her own. So she wants to make the choice. So even if it's something that she wants to do, if it's like not her choice, then she doesn't want to do it. right? But if it's her choice and it's her idea, it's like the best thing in the world. So I've noticed something that works for her because she's super strong-willed, she's super independent, and she wants to make her own decisions and learn on her own. Which I don't want to hinder that
Right.
spirit because when she's 21, I want her to be able to make her own
Mm-hmm.
decisions and not be easily persuaded um, from her peers. But something that I think helps with her is so instead of having having her choose, like let's say she wants to pick out her own outfit, I usually don't say, okay, you can pick out your own outfit. I'll give her like two or three
Right.
choices and I'll pick out three choices and then say, okay, you choose from those three
Right.
outfits or anything for breakfast or lunch or dinner. These are your three choices and you choose one of
Right.
those three. And I think that solves a lot of our arguments back and
Right.
forth because she feels like she's being given a, and I'm not making her do
Right.
something. Because I think with strong-willed children, they don't really want to be told what to
Right.
do, um, and I think it helps solve a lot of like the things that I find myself sometimes doing is like arguing with a 4-year-old, right? And I don't want to do that because then I'm acting
Yep.
like a 4-year-old. Like, so it sometimes it solves a lot of issues by learning how their little brains
Mm-hmm.
work. And yeah, they do want the choice, so give them a choice, but it's out of choices you've already made.
Exactly. Exactly. And then it does eliminate a lot of the battles already, and it gives them, you know, like you said, some control in the situation, but you've still you wanted. Now there are times when they have to learn too, this you don't get a choice today. This is but you can't battle them all day long. So giving them those choices helps both of you considerably. And like in the classroom, we give those kids a lot of leadership roles, and they love that. You be the paper passer out, or you go take this paper to the office. You
Yeah,
help, you be the cleaner today or whatever. Those kids thrive in that because they're already going to take charge of that classroom or your own, their siblings or whatever, so you kind of give them that role and make that okay, and it takes the bossiness out of it and makes them a leader, not, you know. With my youngest,
yeah,
our old nursery worker had been there forever and a day. She's passed away now and she's wonderful. But she would always look at her, she goes, she's going to be a really big leader someday. And I was like, oh, that's code, Pat, for she's kind of bossy right now. I know what that
right.
means. Dang it.
We get
But
that a lot.
it's going to be a great
No,
leader.
I think that's a yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's a great tactic, and we've learned that too. We ask Ella to do more, and we say we want you to do this because you're a leader. We want you to be in charge of this, and even at 5, she really thrives on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And her to do things, that if we just asked her to
Mm-hmm.
do it, she probably wouldn't want to
Right.
do it.
right.
But she just likes that she's very bossy, especially with
Yeah.
other 2 kids, and she likes things very specific. So I think that's a great tactic is to kind of be proactive and say, like with cleaning her room, we like, hey, you're going to go clean your room and like set the example for the other
Right.
kids. That's very different than doing it as a
Oh,
discipline,
absolutely.
Yeah,
disciplinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it gives. I mean, with Ella, she thrives off of independence. So when she does something on her own, and we make a big deal out of it, like it's like amazing to her. So if she can brush her teeth, and she wakes up and she's dressed for the day, and she's been talking about her clean room for 3 days and how it's so clean, but that's just how they thrive off of that. Like I did it, I was in charge of that, um, sort of thing. And
It makes a big difference. Like when you're talking to them, how you explain things. We want you to do this to be a leader versus like you just need to do
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Or we need you to take charge of this. We need to show your sister. Or we need you to show your
Right.
brother. Uh, it's just that's been a really good tactic on her.
Right.
You need
Yeah.
to do.
No, then that's what we do at school and in the classroom for sure. It makes a huge difference. Giving them the choices and consistency again. Like my oldest she was hard. She had to have whatever punishment it would be to learn whatever the rule or whatever was. She would have to have it 10 times over to learn her lesson. And, but, looking back on her life, she's 24 now, and now she's dyslexic, she had ADHD, so school was hard. But that determination and that personality is what kind of helped her persevere through a lot of hard times. I mean, if you told her that, that was going to be difficult or she might not be able to do it, she was going to do it. She was determined to do it.
Right.
And, so she got through school and she made the dean's list most of college. She's a teacher now. I mean, but I look back and I'm like, I just don't know she would have made it if she didn't have that strong will that we battled against so much when she was little, served her well, later on in life for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's something as parents we have to remember too and give ourselves a little bit of grace because number one, parenting's hard anyways. And if you're, I feel like there's a lot of guilt and judgment. And I think sometimes you just have to think about the bigger picture. Before I had kids, if you would have told me that, your child's going to get in trouble for just talking way too much. So Ella gets in trouble every day at school for talking so much.
Would your mom say, I know where she got that?
But like prior to kids, you're like, oh my gosh, my kid can't be the talker, the kid that gets in trouble all the time. But now I'm like, okay, I give myself a lot of grace now because she's a nice girl, right? So she is like, she loves life, she loves friends, and she loves school. She just gets in trouble because she just gets so hyped up and she's so excited to be there, but she wants to talk and she wants to be in charge and she wants to be a teacher.
She wants to finish the teacher's sentences.
But she just loves school so much. So I give myself a lot of grace, and I hope other parents do too, because if you think about in 10 years, right, like it's not just when they're five, they're still babies. But if I turn that, child into a 15-year-old girl now in middle school or entering high school, still be that I'm so excited. I love life. I love myself. I'm super confident. And I can't, I love talking to everybody. So I just find myself giving myself more grace now. And I don't try to hinder her. I just say there's times for you to be really excited, but there's times where you have to relax. And then later you can get excited again. I'm just trying to work through it with her as she's entering kindergarten and stuff like that. But
I think you have to balance, not all rules have the same
Oh,
weight.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think it's important for parents to know, there are some things that Ella will always fight us on that are not, and then there are some things that, we have to be more stern.
Right. There's going to be some non-negotiable items always. I mean, that's going to be all of life. Just figuring out, is it really worth it? And the older I get, it's funny and you'll see when your kids are older, you'll look at things you did with Ella that you really felt were, this has to be like this. And then you're going to look at Evie and you're going to go, we're not worried about that. It's okay, So that, and I now in my job at the age that I am, some of the teachers will go, are you going to put them in time? And I'm like, really, that's not a big deal. In the grand scheme of it, that's not a big deal. And so I have to watch that myself because, and I help parents with that. I'm like, I know it's hard, and it is hard. When you're in the moment, it's hard. But in a few years or you know, just looking back, you're going to go, I can't believe I really got that upset about that, because, you know, it's going to be, there's going to be so many things later on that are going to be so much worse or so much bigger, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. And I know too, we talked about this one day, and you said, because my kids were just like all over the place, and it was the end of the day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like three kids under 5 is
Yeah.
hard, right? And you said, and I was like, I know my kids aren't perfect, but you said, Megan, just be happy they can go up to people and
Oh,
talk to
yeah.
them. Like they can go up to adults and have a
Yeah.
conversation, and you know, social skills.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and like I said, it just helps you relax a little bit. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Nope.
You know, there's going to be way worse things to worry about. Yeah, we do have a question from a parent. So she says, I'm curious if you have discipline suggestions for those strong-willed kids when the choices and it fell. I do not want to squash my 4-year-old spirit, but I can't let her crush mine
Oh,
either.
yeah. With that, you have to just figure out what's going to work for each kid. All three of mine were different in what worked. Like I said, my oldest, I could give her the three choices, and she's going to go, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that. Just because she was that kid that was going to push me, you know. And so I'd have to take something away, or I'd say, well, then we're not going to do whatever that activity was. And the bottom line, and on that, is you've got to be willing to follow through with that. So whatever you throw out, if you're saying we're not going to do this activity, then you have to back that up. Sometimes everybody's punished of because you have to prove that, and that's really, really hard. So be
Yeah.
careful what you throw out as your punishment. If you're mad and you're like, we're going to do that, you have to be willing to go through with it, because they're going to push you on it multiple times, probably, depending on, to see if you're really going to do it. Because I know mine did. She did. So.
And I think
Ellis has very specific things that she likes. So we have to there's almost like a secret equation to like punish
Yeah.
her based on what she's really into at the time. You know, sometimes it's like her room is set up with all these dolls. It looks like a hoarder's house. And if you mess with those, she gets really upset.
Right.
So we'll say, you know, we're going to clean all those up, and she'll straighten
Right.
up. And other times she'll say, sweet, 10 minutes, timeout, sweet. All right, I got that. Is it 10 minutes? Sweet. And she just doesn't
Yeah.
care.
yeah.
And I mean, I remember taking toys out of I'm like, you know, I would start with, it'd be something small that I'd have to take away, and then she'd do it again. And I mean, I remember having to take toys out of the playroom and put them in the garage, and they'd stay in there for days or weeks at a time. I mean,
Toys in the closet.
yeah,
They probably have forgotten.
yeah,
She probably doesn't even know that, yes, they've
yeah,
forgotten about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So another parent wants to know any suggestions on getting a very, very independent, strong-willed, stubborn 3-year-old to
oh,
Good luck.
threes are so hard.
listen.
They're hard. I would, again, just do the best you can, give them the choices, be consistent, and you may have to walk away. They're going to throw a tantrum, and it's okay. Walk away and ignore it. They want you to be in that argument with them. They want that, they thrive on that interaction because it's attention, right? They're attention seekers.
Right.
And so even that negative attention is attention, and sometimes you just have to walk away and go, I'll come back in a little bit when you're ready to listen or whatever. And you just have to walk away and then come back when you can be calm and they're calm. But don't, you know, don't fight. You have to stop sometimes and catch yourself and not get into that battle with them, because they like that. They thrive on it.
Yeah, I can give you an example. So with Evie, every time we go on a walk,
She's
we're,
2.
we're rolling the dice. She might like the way we go, or she might have a nuclear meltdown, and we just keep walking. And she screams and walks and screams and walks. And I think our neighbors kind of know
They just ignore it.
when we're coming down the street,
Yeah.
because we always have at least one kid crying. But we have to be so consistent that we're not going to stop and like go through all this. We're just going to keep walking. And I think now she gets upset and she starts crying and screaming, but she keeps walking because she knows
Yeah.
we will leave her
Yeah.
there. And we've had to
Yeah.
like leave her.
Oh, yeah,
and
I've
walk
done it. Yeah,
way off.
I get it.
Yeah.
And another thing, Jenny, so Evie's almost 3. We have an almost 3-year-old, and she's super stubborn too. And so we have put her in her crib. So let's say it's at nighttime, and she feels like, she wants to throw these fits, right? Out of nowhere, it's like Patty said, it's just for attention. And I'll say, do you want me to rock you, or do you want me to go, or do you want me to put you in your crib? And instead of answering me, she just throws this tantrum. So I'll say, okay, I'm gonna put you in your crib then. And she's still throwing the tantrum, only for attention, but I'm not gonna give her that attention. So I put her in her crib, I cover her up for the night, and I leave. Just like that, she turns into a different child. She'll even say, okay, mommy, I'm sorry, right? Because I've learned I'm not going to fight with you. You're 3.
Right.
If you want to calm down and you want me to rock you, then we will. But I'm not going to let you kick and just because she's tired, right? I mean, that's why she's doing it. And so I've learned, like you said, just like give them a second, like let them throw their little tantrum, because sometimes kids just need to cry. Again, we have to remember they're 2 and 3 years old, and any attention is attention to them. So
there's times with Evie where she's just wild, like just screaming and wild, and I'll literally sit her in our bed, and I'll close the door, and she'll scream for like 10 minutes, just like
not even 10.
It's over.
Yeah.
And then she'll just come back, and she's like a brand new kid, like she just woke up, and it's just.
I think we have to remember, like, it does come back to, are they tired?
Right.
Are they hungry? Has something happened?
Right.
Are they getting sick? And I really do feel, and I've learned this after having 3 kids. I think we need to like be easier on ourselves. Parenting is so hard. Like, it's the hardest thing that I've ever done. And there's so many mistakes that are going to be had. But I really, truly feel if as long as we care about how we're parenting, like that's the first step. Like we all on this call are like we're on this call because we care, and we're trying to be better parents and help our kids. And I just really do think like we just gotta and I'll give you guys all an example. Matt got in trouble all the time in elementary school. His parents his parents said they got called in all the time. And it wasn't because he was being mean. So he's strong-willed, we all know that. He would get his work done first. Every time he'd be the first one done. And then he'd want to get up and help everybody else. So here he is out of his seat helping all the other kids get their work done. So his parent, that is Ella, his parents would have to come in every week and talk to the teacher about your son's getting up. He can't do that. And at the end of the day, clearly everything is okay. I mean, Matt got in trouble all the time, but now he's an entrepreneur with successful businesses. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, not all rules are created equal. That's why we kind of go back to that. Violence or hurting kids is very different than
just
being
busy, right?
Yes.
Than being busy. Your kids are busy. Yeah. They're busy kids. They're busy.
Well, I think another for parents is, make sure that your preschool or your school, that you're aligned with kind of how your philosophy on these things, and having a good relationship with a teacher, because you could get a teacher that really tries to like beat that out of them. What's been awesome for us, at your preschool is that's not the philosophy at all. it's very, it's very like, okay, we know this kid's strong-willed. We're gonna kind of discipline them a little bit differently, but we're not trying to like break their spirit.
Right.
And I think it's, it's key to have a good relationship with, wherever your kid goes off to, you need to have good communication with them and make sure the philosophies
Absolutely.
are aligned. And I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to KidStrong too, is because those parents are looking for more of that philosophy,
Right.
for their own.
Well, and I always tell my teachers, they tease me because those kids are always my favorite ones at work because they're fun. They're the ones that are the challenge. And I'm like, the quiet, soft kids that's not even a challenge. Anybody can teach those kids. It's the strong-willed, the ones that are a little bit more have energy. Those are your challenge in teaching and in parenting. I mean, it's just hard. I also think what's something to think about for you guys is this generation of parents, you guys have it so much harder because you have social media, you have Facebook, and it's very easy and what do you think their life and their children are like, and you got to remember none of that is real. Majority of that is just we're only going to put our very best on there. They're not going to put the days that you came home or you had to do e-learning and you're in tears. E-learning is such a beat. I thank God every day that I don't have little kids during this pandemic and had to do e-learning at home, because I'm not sure I would have been able to manage it because with my oldest, with her dyslexia, we would be in tears every day just on homework, so doing this would be so hard. So you do have to give yourself a break, give yourself some grace, and know you have to do what's best for your family. You have to do what's best for your kid, and your children are going to where they are, the ones God gave us, and we just have to raise them the best way that we can, and trust your instincts. I think God gave us so many good instincts as parents, and we have to learn to listen and trust that for sure.
Yeah. And also, I think it's okay to ask for help and guidance, and know that you're not alone.
Right.
I think as parents, sometimes we think like, well, it's only our kid that acts like that, and then it's absolutely not. So I think it's important for parents to stick together, help each other out, find people who have older kids who have been there, done that, and just it takes a village. It really does.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, awesome. All right, so we're gonna end this out.
Our kids come in here and make us end it. Just have the back door open.
Yeah.
Back door.
Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, this video will stay in the group. So if you guys have more questions, we'll make sure and answer them. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's important to know that, there are a lot of parents who have strong-willed kids. Let's just try to, make sure that we know how to handle that, to guide them as they get older, and, take it from Patty, who's been there, done that several times around.
It's hard.
It's all going to be okay.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Right. Everybody take a deep breath. Awesome, Patty.
Thanks for having me, guys.
For joining us.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.